Recording. So hello everyone, my name is Clayton and I'm the community manager for Allied Rainbow Communities. Today with us we have Arnas and also Kass. They are both representatives of one of the newest political parties we have in Malta. They represent Volt. And today we were intrigued by LovinMalta's article as they announced Kass as one of the new contenders for the upcoming general election representing Volt. And they also bring out the fact that Kass is a trans woman. So we'll be talking a bit about that later, but first perhaps for those who don't know what Volt are, maybe we can start with Arnas. Can you give us a bit of a background about Volt?
Sure. So Volt's a progressive party in Malta that was founded earlier this year. It forms part of a broader European party, Volt Europa, and aims to focus on furthering, the situation in Malta, primarily around furthering human rights, democracy, transparency, and equal opportunity. And these are the key tenets around which we are focusing our upcoming general election campaign. So,
great. And Kass, could you perhaps tell us a bit about your decision to join Volt?
Yes. So basically, as Arna said, Volt represents democracy and transparency and human rights, which are the pillars of kind of what I believe in as an individual and what I've kind of learned to value from Maltese culture and my upbringing, family and education. So that's those core tenets are the things that drew me in to Volt. Obviously, the fact that it is a pan-European party is a big factor that I further kind of felt drawn to Volt, because I do believe in a broader picture for Malta as a part of Europe and as a part of the global community. So being that at the small island that we are, I feel that kind of stepping up to the larger stage, Volt is the way that we can do that more effectively. So that was the main reason why I felt compelled to be part with Volt.
So what changes would you commit yourself to seeing if you get elected?
So the main changes, the big bulk of the changes that I am seeing currently are a necessity, is the element of transparency. It is vital. It is crucial. It is vital. It is the paramount important thing that we need right now in order to garner some level of trust between the people and the government, not just the parties, but the government and the broader picture of legislation, executive, and judicial. There is a fundamental kind of problem that throughout my life, kind of my upbringing, and there's been always this constant, we never trust what the government does. We never trust what anybody says. There's always the constant fear that there is corruption going around, and well, we see a lot of evidence of that corruption as well. So that is the main thing that I push for as a candidate for Volt and a candidate for Malta, as the other parties do a lot of good. So I appreciate that they do a lot of good in terms of policies for social welfare, policies for human rights. So they do a lot of good. So I would be more inclined to work with them on those factors, but the main thing that neither of them want to do is transparency. So that's the main big difference that we really need to work hard on.
Great. So going back to the LovinMalta's article, the article itself presents you as a trans woman, and even yourself, you identify with she, her pronouns. This may be a bit, if I may say so myself, can be a bit confusing for people out there who may not be accustomed to the whole gender identity and issues that revolve around it. But yes, we can say that gender expression is different from gender identity. So one person can identify in one gender, but then they present themselves in a totally non-socially constructed way. But tell us a bit about you. what is your journey like with your identity, your politics about it, and guide us a bit. I'm sure there are a lot of burning questions about this.
There, I'm sure there are, and the answers are very complex and are very nuanced. So I understand when people are rather tired to hear about these sorts of things usually. So yeah, as you said, there is a difference between gender expression and gender identity. And I understand why some people, well, probably many people, seeing as how I present currently, would find it confusing, since there is the constant, well, I'll use the buzzword term, the social construct of gender, as opposed to the more biological definition of gender. So, so I understand how people kind of mix the two and blend the two together. Now, personally, currently, my coming out was relatively recent. My education when it came to LGBT was very poor, and I'm not going into who to blame or what to blame or anything. Like that's neither here nor there. But I myself didn't understand a lot of the tenets, especially when it came to the understandings and the philosophy behind gender, since gender itself is very different from sexual orientation. So I understood kind of the idea of sexual orientation, but some people seem to confuse the idea
That's
of
right. Yeah.
trans and gender with orientation, which is very different. Like the
Yeah.
two things are very different, just as different as gender and sex are very different. So but my understanding is recent, but I take a lot of time to understand the philosophy behind it because I had some understanding of philosophy on an academic level, and I make it my personal kind of goal to understand as much as I can on a level of philosophy. And the idea of gender for me was a problem that I had growing up. I never felt comfortable in my own my own being, how I dressed, how I talked, how I was addressed, the name I had. All of these were problems for me, but I never thought that I could break away from them. I thought that, oh, I was assigned male at birth, so I have to dress this way. Oh, I have a high level of testosterone, which forced me to go bald and makes my body hair grow much more than an individual who has a lower testosterone level, as would be for people who are assigned female at birth, perhaps, even though that isn't always the same,
Right.
because there are a lot of differences when it comes to genetics and hormones and all this sort of thing. So all these things were things that I, for almost the entirety of my life, literally up to this year, I thought that they couldn't be changed. I thought that it is just
Set in
something that
stone.
you have to live with.
Yeah.
And as soon as I understood that that's not the case, that has been a societal thing that was kind of taught to us in some way or form, eh, just by the societal norms of dressing this way, and since you are born this way, you're assigned this way, and you have to be that way. So I'm breaking away from those heavily. I myself am, in fact, in the process of transitioning, so I probably won't look the same as I am currently in a few years' time. So I am looking into that, and I thank all the policies that have been implemented here in Malta, that we have very forward, progressive policies that really help in this situation. I myself am a member of the, as in I've visited and I've spoken with the LGBT support services. I've gotten help from the transgender clinic as well in Mtarfa. So
Okay.
like I these are very big and important things that are a a very important asset for us,
For sure.
that we continue to make them even more better as we go further on as well. But personally, those are things that I am looking into as well. And my name, for example, like as I currently am still going by the the term would be my dead name, as in
That's
the
right.
name that I was given at birth, because it is my legal name at this point. So I don't want to kind of just ignore the facts that, since that is my identification as the law sees it, I will still appreciate that kind of the state that I'm at right now. But there are means to change it, and when it's changed, it will be changed. And I'll go by my preferred name, my actual name, Cassandra, and I go Cass for short, just because Cassandra is a long name. It's easier on the tongue. So yeah, so that's kind of why, yeah, I can understand why people will find it difficult to kind of having a beard and not having long hair, the standard things that are attributed to femininity, which are also social constructs. So
That's,
everybody can express in every way that they can. And that is
that's
a
right.
fundamental belief that I hold in my philosophy. But not everybody is the same on that front. So to each their own, I guess, as long as they're not insulting or derogatory on anyone. But yeah, so that's kind of that's the whole thing when it comes to my identity and who I am. So I express myself as a woman because there is some core belief. It it helps my social role better it helps it helps me to feel better when other people see me and consider me on that more fundamental level. Like, I don't expect that everybody just swaps immediately, because it's a difficult thing, but to people that interact with me on a day-to-day basis, that helps me to better exist in society, literally to just at the bare minimum exist in society. So obviously that is a requirement in order to then thrive in society.
I mean, this is obviously a very brave move from your end. So from my end, I applaud you for your courage to, because then there's this notion of passing and non-passing as a trans woman,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you are deliberately choosing not to pass.
Yeah.
Although yes, you're presenting yourself as a woman, so I applaud you for your bravery in this. What changes in this aspect, like whether it's the place of work, whether it's in society in general? What is the message you want to give out to others who probably will be the first time or never had experience before with dealing with trans people in general?
I think the main message is be aware of as many things as you can. Be aware that everybody has their own feelings, has their own beliefs, has their own philosophies on how to go about life. And it's important that we respect everyone, so long as you don't hinder someone else's rights and their beliefs and their philosophies. So just be kind to people. Um, Gender is something that humanity kind of formed for us. So it's important to understand that we don't have to fit in a box for anyone else, regardless of how many people tell you that you should fit in that box. Because people built that box, so you can break that box just as easily. Like it's just express yourself however you feel comfortable expressing yourself, as long as you don't infringe on other people's expression.
That's very powerful. I'm really like glad to have met you. It's the first time it was a really like quick decision to speak to you, but I'm really happy you accepted to hold this interview for us, and we're definitely looking forward to see more of you now with your political activism.
Yes, and I look to be here as much as possible. This was great. I enjoyed talking with you as well. I enjoy, as much as they're difficult questions to answer, and do they cause some like to understand how to
Yeah.
answer them. They're very personal, and sometimes they're very private questions. I enjoy answering them and kind of trying to get the opportunity to talk and be honest about things, because honesty is is the best policy. So
Definitely. Thank you so much, Cassandra. Thank you, Arnas,
welcome.
for
Thank you
for
very much.
arranging up this. So
Sure thing.
keep in touch, guys. Take care.
Yes.
And girls,
Thank you.
obviously. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye. Good day.
Bye-bye.